chefs.
I'm Chef Kaylee.
And I'm Chef Paige.
And today we're cooking something delicious.
We're making cheesy quinoa vegetable bake. Yes, it is hard to say. And yes, I looked over there to read it because I would have gotten it wrong.
So this recipe is a little bit more challenging than maybe the other ones. So today you're going to learn a lot. And at the end, hopefully you'll have something that is absolutely delicious.
And we know that you got this. Because, like, you got these amazing chefs teaching you. I mean, I won a cooking competition called Paige's Cooking Competition. And we've been trained by Gordon Ramsay.
It's gonna be great.
Let's get started! Alright guys, and now it is time for our, I was about to say ingredients. It is now time for all of our materials. Spicy. Alright, you're gonna need a whisk, a knife, a spatula or spoon, a potato peeler, or just a peeler because we're not peeling potatoes today. Some measuring cups. We got 1 cup, a half a cup, a quarter cup, a teaspoon, and a tablespoon. We also got our handy dandy cutting board, our mixing bowl, our cheese grater, and a plate. We have our pot with a lid. We have our, I don't even know what this is called, casserole dish pan. And we got your saucepan. Yay.
All right, you chefs, so here are the ingredients that you're going to need to make this cheesy quinoa vegetable bake. And it's going to be delicious. Now, there are a lot of ingredients, but I promise you by the end, you'll be an expert chef and this will be delicious. So you're going to need quinoa, heavy cream, chicken broth or vegetable broth, olive oil, butter, salt, broccoli, which we're going to learn how to cut today, flour, but you won't need a whole bag, just a tiny, tiny little bit, carrots, onion powder, zucchini, garlic powder, cheese, and salt.
That's pepper.
Pepper. Okay, youth chef, step number 1 is to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Done. Now we are going to cook our quinoa. So the first thing we have to do is take our saucepan with a lid, and we are going to dump the quinoa that you have into the pot. I'm gonna get a pair of scissors.
I thought it was gonna explode for a second.
You don't want it to explode.
Definitely not.
Put it in the pot. All right, and then if you have the same quinoa that I do, it came with a little seasoning pack, and I love seasoning, so we're just gonna stick that in there too.
Give it a little bit of spice.
All right, then we're gonna put in some water. We are going to put in 2.5 cups of water into the pot. Next, we're going to add our onion powder and our garlic powder. So we're going to add a teaspoon of each of those into the pot. Yum, yum. Next, I'm going to mix it up and make sure that all the spices that I put in are nice and mixed in. Super mature here on Youth Chefs.
So mature.
So then we are going to put it on the stove and we're going to boil it over medium heat. Okay, so as you can see, our quinoa is now boiling. So once it starts boiling, we're going to turn the heat down to a simmer, which means that it's a very, very gentle little boil, not like this, okay? So just turn your heat down pretty low, and then we're gonna cover it, and then we're gonna set a timer for 15 minutes, and then we'll be back.
Alrighty, youth chefs. Next, we are going to be dealing with our carrots and our zucchini. I just got water all over myself. And you want to know why I just got water all over myself? Because we just washed our vegetables. And by wash, I mean rinse with water. Please do not put soap on your vegetables because we do not want to eat soap. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to peel it. So you're going to get your handy dandy peeler and you're just in downward motions going to peel it. And you're going to do that until you've peeled the whole thing. And just like that, we're done. So once you finish peeling your carrot, you're going to want to cut off the end on both sides. Like that. Then you're going to want to cut them into smaller pieces like this. And then you're going to want to cut those smaller pieces into smaller pieces like these pieces. Why am I chopping it so aggressively? Sounds kind of satisfying. Makes me feel like I'm Chef Linguini in Ratatouille.
All right, today we're gonna learn how to cut broccoli. So first, I took my broccoli and I washed it really well and rinsed it in the water in the sink. So step number one is I'm going to take off all of these little leaves that are on the edges. So I'm just gonna tear those off, or you can cut them. It's up to you. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Make sure they're all off. Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to eat that.
Me neither.
So now that I've torn off all of the little stems that were on there, little flaky bits, now I'm going to cut off the stem. So just cut right off at the top. Now, if in another dish you want to use the stems, you can also cut these up and eat them. But for this dish, we're not going to use them. So now, what does this look like? A piece of frozen broccoli, right? It looks just like it. So you can just tear off pieces. Or you can use the knife until you have little pieces of broccoli. And if you want to cut them smaller, which I probably will because they're quite large, you can do that. Or you can leave them in big, huge chunks if that's what you like. And we're going to do that for both of our broccolis. Okay, so now I know my quinoa is done. even though I still had a little bit of time left on my 15 minutes, I know that it's done because all of the water is absorbed. So I'm going to take now my quinoa and I'm going to put it in my mixing bowl. Make sure you wear an oven mitt, and that if you are moving it across the room, that you are very, very careful not to hurt yourself. And if you need an adult's help, it's always a good idea to get help from a friend. And you're just gonna scrape all of that yummy quinoa into the mixing bowl. There shouldn't be any water left. It should be nice and fluffy, like a kitty.
But no hair in it. Please do not put hair in your quinoa.
And then I'm just gonna put this back on the stove so it doesn't burn the counter. On the spout where the heat isn't on anymore. And I'm just gonna set this aside and we're gonna move on to the next step.
All right, youth chefs, now we are going to be cooking our carrots. So you're gonna wanna get some olive oil. I'm gonna put a capful, just like that. And you're just gonna wanna spread it around the pan just a little bit, just so nothing sticks to our pan and makes it hard to clean. Yep, just like that. All right, then you're gonna wanna turn it to medium heat, and you're gonna wanna get your carrots. My hands are washed. Make sure you wash your hands if you are going to be touching the vegetable. And you're just gonna wanna hear that sizzle. That's what delicious sounds like. And then we're gonna put in our carrots only. Then we're gonna wait 2 to 3 minutes to put the rest of the vegetables in. I'm not okay.
All right, so now I'm gonna add in the rest of my vegetables along with some chicken broth. Or if you have vegetable broth, that works perfect too. So let's add it. Because I don't want my broccoli to burn and I don't want my other vegetables to burn, we're gonna put in the chicken broth. So we're gonna put in a 1/2 cup in with our vegetables, and that will keep it from sticking and getting too dark.
And the crab goes wild.
And then I'm gonna mix it in really well. And it'll be great.
Woohoo. All right, youth chefs, now we are going to be shredding the cheese. We are going to be shredding the cheese. So you're just gonna wanna open it up like so. And you're gonna wanna find that side. Be very careful, these are sharp and we don't want anyone to cut themselves. So you're just gonna get your finger like that, and you're gonna wanna press down like that. It's gonna make these little cheesy flakes. And you're just gonna wanna do that until the cheese is gone.
Okay, youth chefs, now while Paige is finishing grating our cheese, she's doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
We are going to take the pot that the quinoa was in originally that we scraped out of, and I put mine on the stove and I'm starting to heat it up under medium heat, and we're gonna put some butter into that pot. So I'm just gonna cut off some of my butter, as much butter as you like. I like a lot of butter. I think it makes things taste yummy. I'm gonna put it in my pot and let it melt for a minute. Okay, youth chefs. So my butter is now in the pot and it's melting. Make sure that you're occasionally stirring your vegetables. Right now, ours are almost done. It smells really good.
Looking yummy.
Looking good. So now that my butter is melting, I'm going to put in some flour into the pot with my butter. So I'm going to put in 2.5 tablespoons of flour, and I'm going to whisk the butter and the flour together. So now I have my butter and my flour in my pot. So I'm just going to use my whisk and whisk it together. And if you do it correctly, then it should start to thicken up and it will look a little bit lumpy. So just keep whisking it. And should look good. And then you're going to take your heavy cream and you're going to put it in there with your butter and your flour mixture. And by the way, my vegetables are done. They're nice and delicious smelling, and they're getting a little bit brown, so I just turned off the heat on my vegetables. So I'm going to add in my heavy cream. And now I'm going to whisk that together.
All right, guys. Now that we have our cheese mountain and your sauce kind of looks like mashed potatoes, that's how you know it's thick enough. We just turned off the heat, so this is no longer cooking. And then you're going to want to get your cheese and you're going to want to put it in. And cheese mountain has fallen. You're just going to want to put that in, get your spatula, and mix it in until the cheese is all melted.
Okay, youth chefs. So Paige is still working on getting our cheese melted. So what we're going to do in the meantime is I have my mixing bowl full of quinoa. So I'm going to take my vegetables that were on the stove and I'm going to put them in with the quinoa. Remember to use an oven mitt so you don't die. Okay? And if it's heavy for you, then be careful and make sure that you have an adult or somebody older to help you. And just gently put all of those yummy vegetables that you cooked in with your quinoa. And once you have done that, you can mix it together. And the next step is we're going to be adding in all that delicious cheese.
So now, youth chefs, we are going to get, I guess you could now call it our cheese lake. Because it's no longer cheese mountain. And you're just going to want to pour it into the bowl you have. It's a lot of butter, but it'll taste good. Oh yes. You know what this looks like? Cheese whiz. That's what it reminds me of. Haha, cheese whiz. It's so smart. That was a good one. Cheese whiz. And the cheese is smart. So it's cheese whiz. I'm so funny. So once you get all of your cheesy mixture in, you're going to want to put your pot back on the stove so that it does not burn your countertops. And you're just going to want to mix this all together. Like so. That was really heavy. Anyways. Just going to want to keep mixing until everything is fully mixed together.
Okay, so Paige did a wonderful job mixing all the cheese into our quinoa cheesy bake vegetable thing. So now we're just going to transfer it to the bowl, from the bowl to the pan. Okay, so I put a lot of butter in mine, so I don't even really think I need to oil the pan. But to be super, super careful, I would add a little bit of oil to the pan just to make sure that the cheese doesn't burn onto your casserole dish. And then we're just going to pour it in. Yummy. And we're going to spread it out so it covers the whole pan. And then what's next? I don't even know. Okay. Oh, we're supposed to add salt and pepper. So add a little salt and a little pepper right onto the top of your quinoa dish. And once you've done that, then we're going to put it into our preheated oven for 15 minutes. Yum, yum.
Well,
Here we are.
we're done.
So make sure that you let it cool.
It looks actually really good and smells
Smells really good.
really good.
Anything with cheese is good.
It's actually really good. Really cheesy, but really good.
It's perfect. And the good thing is it has so much cheese in it. If you don't like vegetables,
That's a really
who
hot
even
bite.
cares? It just tastes like cheese.
True. The last bite I just took was like super hot.
See,
Okay,
people
well-
are just knocking down the door to come and get some of this quinoa bake.
All right, guys.
So we'll see you next time.
Bon appetit.